Hey lovelies. So this is my second video today because I've fallen behind. Um, fallen behind at the very in the very home stretch, right? So Nine of Swords. Yeah. We've been talking about I love that royal we. We've been talking about the way in which the human mind or mind itself, mind with a capital M, mind is the capacity to understand, um, is about our ability, the ability to encompass multiple perspectives, to be able to imagine the world as we see it through our eyes, and also to recognize that there are many, many other ways to be positioned in this world. Like to be able to recognize that there is a world that is bigger than the narrowest confines of the self. Um, yeah. Here's the thing. We all really, really, I think, I mean, not just as humans, but as mammals, as living animals, we really want to understand all the corners of our worlds, like, you know, what lurks over there and what's possible over there. And we want to understand, we want to grasp, we want everything to be flooded with light so that we can navigate the universe. But I think that the Suit of Swords is inviting us to notice the ways in which our full development and our full capacity requires being able to embrace mystery, to being able to embrace shadow, and not shadow that we can drag into light, but shadow, as what yet is unclear, as what eludes in our narrowness of an individual, a person with a personal history, in our narrow self, we can't lay hold of. So I think the Suit of Swords is inviting us to embrace a world that is beyond ourselves, which means embracing the possibility of not having ourselves, embracing a certain kind of death or dissolution or transcendence of the ego. But that is fucking terrifying. May I just say, loss of self? Why would we want that? It's not fun. It's the Ten of Swords. I'll talk about that later. But it's also, before it really comes to fruition, it's also the Nine of Swords. And to kind of say a little bit more about this, and just a little bit, because I astonishingly for me, I don't necessarily want to cover all of this with words. I too can lapse into silence. You might not know it from my videos, but I can. But I wanted to talk about the Line Strider Tarot, Ciola Thompson's Tarot, which is a tarot deck that I love. And if any of you have the self-published edition and you're kind of like, meh, or you're ready to let go of it and you want to trade, let me know in the comments below, because I just have the mass-produced version. And the cardstock is just so not yummy that, and the backs are okay, that I just don't play with it as much as I would like to. What Ciola Thompson, who like me has a background in comparative literature and like me lives in the Pacific Northwest. I just learned that. I think she's up in Seattle. What she says about this deck is, you know, it's about being on the edge, being on the line, that she's exploring sort of the edge between animal and human, between, you know, sort of figurative realism and something that's more symbolic. And then I think very, very deeply, this is a deck that, I mean, brilliant, let me try that again, brilliantly uses the white space of the card. So she's, you know, playing with like what is and what isn't, and the gap between what can be seen and what can't be seen, and she's daring to use white instead of black as the color of what we cannot see, of where image is not, of where we must leave off our desire to know. I love this deck. It's just beautiful. I mean, it's just beautiful. And so here's her 9. I'm finding myself oddly drawn to foxes. I think I may have to accept that foxes are my totem animal. So we'll come back to that in a second. This is a 10 of Swords, which I think a lot of people don't like. To me, it's so powerful and shocking that I just think it's brilliant. Last night I was driving home and I saw the body of a young deer in the road, in the middle of the road, and I moved it out of way so it wouldn't get further mangled by cars. But there's something about the death of this stag that just breaks my heart. Breaks my heart in a way that seems really important and like tied to what the 10 of Swords is. Okay, I love that king too. So, okay, this 9. Yeah. So, the Nightmare card, right? This is the card of, what it means for us to grapple with what we don't know, which comes to us in the form of horrors and shadows and nightmares and daggers through the mind, right? It's what keeps us from resting. It's what keeps us from finding peace. Shakespeare's Macbeth, I'm going to talk about Lady Macbeth in a couple days. Shakespeare's Macbeth, says, "Oh, full of scorpions is my mind, dear wife." It's like the part of our thoughts, of ourself, that we can't fully master. In Macbeth's case, it's guilt because he's just killed a bunch of people. But in the Nightmare card in general, this is what it means for us to grapple with what we can't know, what comes to us as shadow. And that yearning to hold on to it and to control it anyway, to master it, the way our dreams, at least according to Freud, dreams can function as a way of us kind of mastering that which isn't masterable. That's one of the ways he understands, like, the dreams of people who are suffering from what we now call PTSD, and Freud's day called being shell-shocked. Those dreams where you repeat the event after the event, those flashbacks. He's like, look, that's us trying to master in the present what happened in the past. So nightmares are about mastery of what we cannot master. It's about the dark recesses of our hearts and our minds and our worlds. And these are recesses that by definition we can't bring to light. I love what Ceola Thompson says about this card. So she says, I'm sorry, it's hard to see the delicacy of this imagery. Okay, so she says, the 9 of Swords is sometimes called the Nightmare card. No other card so specifically speaks to the kind of anxiety, insomnia, and physical cost that worry can have on our bodies and lives. Is something keeping you up at night? Is your mind racing a mile a minute? Etc., etc., etc. She says, the fox looks up at the night sky with a haunted look on her face. She has forgotten that foxes are nocturnal and that the night is their natural place. Humans often rise to their fullest potential in times of adversity. This is your night. Try to embrace it. She says, very few things are solved by incessant worry. Focus the sword of your intellect and brutally cut to the truth of the problem. Stop worrying and start acting. Sometimes there are things in life you cannot change, and your only option may be to accept that and figure out how to move on with your journey. So this idea, what I love about that description is not so much the idea that, focus on the problem, try to fix it, stop worrying. But it's that idea that the fox is nocturnal and is looking up at the moon and doesn't realize that she's nocturnal and that she's safe. There's a way in which the darkness, the dark nights of the soul, and I'm thinking here of the tarot tag that Maha Treasures Box and Elise and Kasha, the tarot map, have been doing this Dark Times tarot tag. The dark nights of the soul, this darkness, the sense of the kind of worry and pain and suffering that the 9 of Swords can represent. It's only a dark night that torments us if we assume that it is not our home. if we assume that there's something wrong with shadow, wrong with mystery, wrong with the moon, if we remember that we are also nocturnal creatures, that we are also creatures that by definition there's a whole swath of our experience that we'll never fully master because we are limited in our view and perspective and yet connected to the great all of everything. If we can accept that there's part of us that will always be in shadow, then the shadow world doesn't have to be a source of anxiety. It can be instead a source of magic, a source of beauty, a source of great insight. An insight that is not light, that is not the insight of illumination, but is the insight of dark, black depths. So what does it mean to look into the night and to scry our way through without making sense? Just living in the realm, the murky realm of intuition, of knowing something that we don't know. Okay, yeah. Fox. Moon, night. Urgh. Okay, yeah, that's all I got. Thanks for listening. Thanks for being there. Thank you for your journey.